Hello and welcome to a very special cruising vlog. I'm not going out in this one cruising on my own boat, nor indeed am I actually going out cruising on Lorna's boat, but together we're going out on Narrowboat Perseverance, otherwise known as the home of Joe and Michael from Minimal List, and it is going to be quite the adventure. A couple of short train trips from Lorna's mooring and we have arrived at Limehouse Basin, which is right next to the tidal River Thames. And here on the visitor moorings, Joe and Michael's boat, Narrowboat Perseverance, all checked over and ready to go. We're going to go into the lock and up the Thames with and following this wide beam, which conveniently is going to have a pilot on board, so that's helpful. And this is Limehouse Lock, which we will be going through in about an hour from now, taking us through to the Thames that you can see at the end there. Just being in this lock is going to be quite terrifying, let alone going out onto the Thames. Will you just look at the size of these gates? This is some fantastic engineering. And no, you don't have to crank a windlass to open them. All hydraulic, of course. I think this shot possibly gives you more of a sense of scale of that lock. It's quite big, not like your normal canal lock. And OMG, when we come out, we will turn right and head up that way. Suddenly, Narrowboat Perseverance just looks very, very tiny. I wonder how my travelling companions are feeling about the trip.
Fine. Look, I'm really not worried about it.
Completely sick. I'm worried that I'm not worried about it. Honestly, I'm so excited.
It is now 2:35 and as you can see the traffic light for the lock has gone green, so we'll be going in there in just a second. And we are off.
We on?
We've tied the boat on to these riders down the side, these metal hawser things. There's the lockie, operating the gates. The other boat now departs and we will follow them.
London BTS Perseverance. We are just exiting Limehouse, proceeding to Teddington. Over.
This construction is part of the new London Super Sewer, I think. I was watching a TV programme about this lately. It's costing several £billion, involves something like a 7-mile tunnel underneath the city, and then outlets which previously just dumped sewage into the Thames are dumping into this new sewer. This is part of it. And our captain has just steered us exceptionally well out of the lock through some unexpectedly choppy water, given that it's not that windy. You may not believe it from the audio, but it isn't that windy, but it was very choppy, and I think we're relaxing a tiny bit now, but nonetheless, caution to be advised. Now coming into sight of those famous London landmarks. Tower Bridge, the Shard. This is going to be awesome. That might look like a little wake, but believe me, we're going to feel that. These will be worth a couple of quid, I imagine. And there's my next boat. Right, pop quiz. Who owns this boat? Anyone know? Answer in the comments below, please. 2 continuous orange lights on the bridge means you can go through the centre span, so that's where we're heading. If it were white flashing lights, we'd have to go over to the right of the centre span. But looks like we're okay.
That's exactly it.
Michael and I both discussing just now the sheer scale of this bridge, and we've both agreed the only apt description as you go under it is holy shit. With apologies for the profanity, but truly, that's what you're thinking. And coming out the other side, the Gherkin.
Oh, look at that.
And that's some old historic castle-y thing, you know. We've got so many here. It's just another castle, isn't it? Now there's a message I think we can all approve of, and not just the Thames, but all the canals and rivers as well.
After he passes.
Forget that last boat. This is going to be my next one. Not bad.
Okay.
We are getting jostled a little bit. Trying to work out what ship this is on the bank. Again, answers in the comments below, please.
They start through and that's gonna suck.
These little ribs cause a hell of an amount of wash, and we get the full brunt of it. That's Tate Modern, which I once abseiled down the side of. Not the big tall chimney, much to my disappointment, but the side of the building itself. That was scary enough for a first abseil, I think. Just coming into view there, the London Eye on the south bank. Get a better view of that in a minute, I think. And there is the Oxxo Tower. Now that building is the, I think former now ITV building. I think they've sold it off now. Where I used to work, where programmes like GMTV and This Morning and loads of other TV shows came from. You get a super view from the top floors up there. Spent many overnights working in there on the overnight shift for GMTV back when I was freelancing. There's the Eye with the Royal Festival Hall. Building on the left there.
And this is an iconic town.
A number of times I've walked across this bridge, and in fact been across it in the railway. There we go, promised you a better view of the London Eye. There it is. Now we're coming up to Westminster Bridge next to the Houses of Parliament, which again we'll get a better shot of in a minute. You can't go too close to them, otherwise they shoot you. Somewhere underneath that scaffolding there's a clock.
Bloody big clock too.
And a bell. Big bell. Never in all my born days did I think I'd come past Parliament like this. Wow. The light being the way it is, that is a better shot of Parliament.
Very good so far. A little bit of chop at the beginning, a little bit of chop whenever the V-bottom boats come through. But fair bit of traffic on the radio. But no, basically it's been fine. Just a little bit of a learning curve right off the beginning. Enjoying it.
I don't know if I'm going to get shot for filming the MI6 building, but let's find out. Or let's not, actually. I should probably show you this map, which refers to all the bridges and shows which spans you're supposed to go through and where you're not supposed to go. It's very useful. It's like a rallying map. As well known by any Pink Floyd lover, Battersea Power Station. Well, the most tumultuous bit of it is over. We've done central London effectively, now gently heading out towards Putney and Richmond and Kingston, places like that, the suburbs. It's all calmed down quite a bit. It's turning into quite a civilised afternoon, so I've come forward to the well deck. How has the experience been from the bow?
I loved it. It was so good. When the gates first opened on the lock, I may have said some naughty words. It was a lot worse than I was expecting. And that first bit, that was quite scary. But then I got into it and it was really cool. There were some big waves, so my hair's had a little bit of a wash, but it wasn't as bad as I was hoping for. I mean, expecting. It wasn't as bad as I was expecting. It was fantastic. It was brilliant. Just seeing everything from a different angle. Because I'm so used to walking up and down the river and spend a lot of time in central London, but to see it from a different point of view, it was brilliant. I've got the bug. I have to do it again.
Round about Putney now, and this is what you have to be careful of round here. Lots and lots of rowers. Two and a half hours after we started, we're just cruising through Chiswick. There's barely any traffic on the river here. The sun is out. It's calm. It's just fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful afternoon. Dead ahead there is Oliver's Island, apparently named after Oliver Cromwell. And we shall steer, as that wide beam craft has done, over to the left to go past it. Very nice to be cruising past Kew Gardens, the world famous Kew Gardens. Cruising past them in a boat. This is Brentford, which is where you would come out of the Grand Union Canal onto the Thames if you were going to come out, head up towards Teddington and then go up the Thames towards, well, at K&A I suppose, and Lechlade. So you'd come out of that opening there. Just coming past Twickenham now, and on a sunny Saturday afternoon the banks are packed, as you'd expect. Well, what do you know? There is the site of a rather large lock. Now I'm presuming that's Teddington Lock, and that we don't appear to be going into it.
We are. It's double-sided.
Oh, it's double-sided lock apparently. I did not know that, so if I was actually reading the sign, I'd see that it indicates us to go to the right. Never come on the Thames with me. So we are going to go into Teddington Lock, and then after that just look for somewhere to moor, I believe. The end of our voyage is in sight. Joe's just gone up to catch a rope, wrap it round a bollard, and then keep us tight in the lock.
So are you carrying on for a while then? What do you think? Yeah, we go.
And now, with the lock open, we can go forward, and Joe and Michael have decided they will pay £9.50 for one night's mooring just a little bit further on, which is paid to the lock keeper.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I really enjoyed it. But
Well, that was fantastic. We made it, and we're moored up just above Teddington Lock. So let's find out what everyone else on board thought of that journey.
Well, for me, doing the driving, there were about 15 minutes in the beginning of a little bit of concern. After that, once we made it to Parliament, I guess maybe it was a little bit more than 15 minutes, but once we made it past Waterloo Bridge in Parliament, and I was no longer worried about sort of traffic as much, it became really easy. And so the rest of the way has just been really lovely sort of afternoon cruising.
Joe?
I didn't like it at all. It was much choppier than I thought it would be, and I swore a lot more than I usually do, and I was very uncomfortable, and pretty sure I wouldn't do it again.
Lorna?
I loved it. It was a lot less choppy than I was hoping it was going to be, and I have to do it again. I can't wait to do it again.
3 very different experiences on the same trip.
So Joe will not be repeating, but the rest of us, we'll
We're
probably
already making plans.
Yeah, we're
for the
already
next
making
trip.
plans for it. So yeah, I'll come back down and we'll drive up.